Did modern horror revivals improve classic villains? Imagine the villains from your favorite horror movies coming back with a fresh twist. That's what the horror revival trend in the 2000s was all about. It wasn't just about copying the old villains, but updating them for new audiences. Back in the 80s, villains like Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, and Michael Myers were simple but terrifying. They relied on masks, silence, and unstoppable force. Their stories focused on suspense and shock value, making them iconic figures of that era. In the 2000s, filmmakers started giving these villains more background. They added stories about their origins and motivations. For example, remakes of movies like Halloween and Texas Chainsaw Massacre showed us more about what made these characters tick. This made them feel more real and sometimes even more frightening. But some fans missed the mystery that made the original villains so chilling. They liked the idea of villains being more about atmosphere and less about backstory. Another big change was how villains were portrayed in new horror styles. The rise of torture horror movies like Saw turned villains into twisted philosophers. Jigsaw was not just a killer but a mastermind who set moral puzzles for victims. These villains used elaborate traps and psychological games, which was a shift from the straightforward killers of the past. Found footage films like Paranormal Activity and The Blair Witch Project also changed things. Instead of showing villains clearly, these movies kept the threat unseen. This built tension through fear of the unknown, which was a different way to scare audiences. Some revivals kept the look and feel of the original villains but added humor and self-awareness. The Scream series, for example, brought back Ghostface but made him more playful and aware of horror movie cliches. This made the villain feel modern and fun, even if it changed the serious tone of earlier slashers. These updates helped horror movies attract bigger audiences and stay relevant in a changing media world. The new villains often had more detailed stories, psychological depth, and complex methods of killing. This made them more memorable and sometimes more frightening. But it also meant they weren't quite the same as the simple, mysterious villains from the 80s and 90s. From a nostalgia point of view, many fans remember these revivals as exciting and fresh. The updated villains felt modern, with more gore and twists. Still, some fans miss the mystery and simplicity of the original villains, who relied more on atmosphere and suspense than elaborate backstories. So, did these modern horror revivals make the villains better? It depends on what you like. Some prefer the detailed, psychological villains, while others miss the straightforward, mysterious killers of the past. Both styles have their own kind of scare factor, and both have helped keep horror movies interesting over the years.